So what can you tell us about the story of Marquise Groves Killebrew, how he got to Arizona?
MGK comes to us from Louisville, was in the transfer portal. Um, had some staff members that had some pre-existing relationships with him. He reached out and they got in touch with Coach Keena and myself, and we evaluated him, and so he decided to come to us in the spring as a walk-on.
And what have you seen out of him so far in camp?
Just a guy that's eager to learn, get it done. Guy that, shows up early, stays late, trying to, really perfect his craft. Really pleased with what we've seen thus far from him, but obviously still a lot that we can work on and get better at, and he's putting his best foot forward to do that.
Michael and Troy?
Following up on that, were you able to find out like why things didn't click for him at his previous stops, and then what gives you hope that things will be different for him here?
Yes, we did. During the vetting process between myself and Coach Akina, he had a previous coach that Coach Akina had some history with, so we were able to ask all our questions and kind of checked out. And, ultimately, he's a young guy, man, that's looking for a new opportunity. And so we kind of laid it out before him. As we sat down and we were having those conversations, he decided that this was something that he wanted to move forward with, and we got him.
How do you think he's developed since spring to this point in training camp? Because it seems like maybe a little bit different player from when he first got here to now for you guys.
Absolutely. I'd agree 100%. I would say the biggest strides is just the overall knowledge of our defense and scheme, and understanding how coverages are built and how we run them, and really just his playmaking ability and, showing up day in and day out, knowing that he has to work. Huge strides. Really, really pleased with what he's done thus far this camp.
Justin and Michael. How do you think Takario is handling the off-season attention that he's been getting?
From my perspective, I would say he's handling it well. I've seen guys of, his stature, status, really start to relax. And that's been the thing that we as a staff, we've put before him, staying focused, continuing to work for the things that he's after. And I think he's doing an awesome job, right? But it's a part of our world, especially with our youth these days, right? Social media and all the different platforms out there that, tell you whether or not you're good. He's really focused on the things that we've asked him to do, right in the building, right here in the building. And so I think he's handled it really, really well. Really pleased with that part of it.
Not including the nickels, but the outside guys, how many players do you feel comfortable with or trust at this point, and how many do you expect to use in the first couple of games, would you say?
I would tell you plenty enough. We have enough that we can go out and we can play a full game. We'll have a nice rotation of guys, and we're still bringing along some new young guys as well that will contribute. But with the depth that we have in the defensive back room, we're really, really pleased. We have some guys that can play multiple positions, and that makes you really, really comfortable moving forward. So.
Besides Takario and Marquise, who are some of those young guys who've maybe made some strides here?
Oh, yeah. Emmanuel Carnley is a guy. Demetrius Freeney is a guy that's coming along as well. G7 is also a guy that's coming along. Some of these guys have been here. Some of these guys are new to the program, but they're progressing well and responding to the coaching, right, and the soft pressure that we're applying to these guys. As there's a standard here that we play with and that we have, and they're not turning the cheek and trying to meet that standard.
As a corner, is it pretty much a given that for most guys that they'd rather play man press than zone, and what are the kind of the challenges in your defense of doing that?
I think it depends on who you talk to. I would probably teeter on the side that most guys would say they'd want to play man-to-man. Especially in our room. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
What are the challenges, like when you challenge the corners and man, like what are you emphasizing that you really want to see from them?
Oh, man, by far technique. That's what wins out on the island. When you're playing one-on-one, first having the understanding that it's a tough task and you're not going to win them all. But the more you can play technique, the more opportunity you have to be successful on that play. And just trying to keep our guys even keel that way, not letting them get too high or letting them get too low if something goes wrong. We've got some guys that have played. We've got some guys that haven't played, and that's kind of been the message this camp, and the guys are responding well to it. So,
With Takario, he obviously had a really good season last year, somewhere around 15 pass breakups. That's what's vaulted him into this position.
15.
Wow. I think it was a lot. Yeah. As Justin mentioned, getting a lot of attention. But what are some of the areas that you've worked on with him where he could improve?
Catching the ball. All right. No, I didn't realize it was that many. I know he had double. I didn't realize it was that many, but just finishing the play, right? Being there is not enough. Emphasizing actually finishing the play, and I think if you got a chance to talk to him, he'd tell you the same thing. But I would say from an overall standpoint, one of the things that we've challenged him with is being a complete corner, right? What comes along with finishing, right? Being able to play on tight ends, fit in the run, being the edge of the defense, a leverage point guy, and then just completing his game out on the perimeter, which I think every young player should always be striving to do, right, is progress and focus on the technique, the technical part of the game, the fundamental part of the game. And that's something that he has completely locked in on. And it's exciting to watch. Can't wait to see him go out and, spin on Saturdays.
He's expected to potentially be a first-round draft pick next year. When an NFL scout comes up to you and asks you, what kind of player are we getting out of Takario if we draft him, what do you tell them?
All the important things, who he is as a person, right, away from the game, how he's managing, all of the hoopla, whatever they're saying about him, how he works, how he approaches each day. Is he a self-starter? And these are all things that, for me, just been fortunate to get the opportunity to work with Takario. He's meeting all of those things, so it's easy to talk about. And, in our offices, we're still pressing him for more, because there is more that he can do. So, really easy questions that way. I think, everything is in front of Takario. I think depending on how this season goes for him, we'll determine that. But the best part of him is it hadn't been a ton of conversation where that's concerned. So.
Last question to Michael. Dwayne Akeen is kind of the godfather of defensive backs. I mean, he's coached so many guys who've won Thorpe Awards and been All-Americans and been in the NFL, et cetera. What has it been like to work with him, and what are some of the things that you've learned from him?
You should come shadow, and you should come, I'm serious, and come spend some time. It is awesome just to be around someone that has coached as long as he's coached. The tenure, the amount of time he's been tenured at specific places like Arizona, Texas, and Stanford, and the knowledge of the game, the in-depth part of the game. While there's the fundamental and technical part of the game that he's preaching and coaching and teaching every day, he's really big on the IQ part of the game. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to learn from him and work alongside of him. you know, I realize as a young coach how fortunate I am, you know, to be around someone, man, that's coached the position I played, you know, coached the position that I you know, I teach, and just learn from him, you know, and that's been the best part of it. You know, I'd say between himself, you know, Coach RC and me, man, we got something special going, man, and you know, I'm hoping we can, you know, put it on full display this fall.
All right, that's our time.
Thank you, guys.